We move on to 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Jacksonville Jaguars at Seattle Seahawks. We're at Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington. 52 Fahrenheit, sunny. 7 miles per hour is the wind. Jaguars are 1-5, 0-2 on the road. The Seahawks are 2-5, 0-3 at home. And the Jags come in off their bye week. This is a very interesting football team that I hope that we're capable of making money off of. Whether or not you believe in them or not, I think that they can become predictable even with their young starting quarterback. So, first off, we have – I'll just move over to full game. Sorry, that was first half. We have the Seahawks opening up as 3-point favorites. There's been a 5-cent move towards them at Pinnacle. They opened up minus 112. They're now minus 117. Then from a total standpoint here in the Jags game, we have the total opening up at 43, and there's been some movement in a couple books. It's moved to 43.5 at some books, but it's only been a 2-cent move at Pinnacle from over 43 minus 108 to over 43 at minus 110. When we go over to the cash standpoint, we have just 1,866 tickets in. 30% of the tickets are on the Jaguars and 78% of the cash. Then we have 60% of tickets on the under, but just 23% of the cash on the under. We last saw the Jags and they snap their 20-game losing streak with a 23-20 win over Miami in the UK. Trevor Lawrence, 25 for 41 for 319 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Marvin Jones Jr. caught 7 passes for 100 yards and a touchdown. Jamal Agnew continued his rise up the roster, catching 5 passes for 78 yards, not a special teams only player anymore. James Robinson ran 17 times for 73 yards. They still had difficulty dialing up any pressure. 0 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. The biggest disappointment, if you were looking at this team from a roster standpoint, is any corner that's lined up opposite Shaquille Griffin. Any corner that's lined up opposite him is getting burnt nonstop. But Trevor Lawrence has been making legitimate strides that everybody is seeing. The Seahawks come in off a short week after losing the Monday Nighter. We should take one look at the quickly changing Jacksonville injury report. So let's just take a look at there. Now, they're coming off the bye, so Shark out for the season. They're a pretty healthy squad. They're a pretty healthy squad right now. So the Jags really have no issues there. It's more about what the Seahawks have, and we're not going to get a ton of information because they played last night and didn't practice today. So basically we'll get almost no information. But we can go over a couple things here. Seahawks coming off a short week after losing last night, 13-10 at home to the Saints. Geno Smith did his best and didn't make mistakes. And, I find that when there are these older backup quarterbacks that I'm like an old grandma watching his son or this grandson play sports. I'm like, well, he's trying hard. And I think about that with Geno. I'm like, well, he's trying. And what do you expect? He makes no mistakes. He stays conservative. The problem is that for 3 straight weeks, Geno Smith has had the opportunity in the final seconds to win a football game for his team, and he's incapable of doing that. So, yes, he won't make mistakes. He'll play very conservative football. He'll run. He'll give the ball to the running backs and then maybe burn you like he did with that DK Metcalf long pass. But when push comes to shove and they need to make a move, he's incapable of delivering that. Alex Collins ran 16 times for 35 yards, but of course you're going to fill the box up when you're going up against Geno Smith. But the defense was strong. They didn't get a ton of pressure, but they finished with 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, 3 straight losses overall for the first time in a decade. An 0-3 start at home for the first time in almost 30 years. And from a injury side of things, Marquise Blair, their safety, fractured his kneecap. He's going to need surgery. Darrell Taylor, from that awful hit he took last week when he was carried out on a stretcher, he's going to be okay, but he's still questionable. John Reed, cornerback, questionable. Damian Lewis, questionable. Brandon Shell hurt his ankle and is questionable. D. Eskridge still in concussion protocol. Chris Carson has no timetable from his return. And Russell Wilson is not coming back this week. Bebsie, Jags, Seahawks. Do you agree with this slight move to the Seahawks at home?
I mean, look, you're still going into Seattle as a rookie quarterback, playing with that noise, and they'll be loud, even though they're a little bit deflated right now. They're 2-5. Russ is out, like you said. Grandma's in, and I just think there's a little bit of value with the Jags here, for a couple of reasons. Look, I said this last week. Geno's still the same old Geno. Who's a little more mature. You know, he's not like you said. He's not trying to do as much. But if he has to do something, he still doesn't have it. So he's a liability, and he's also, this is a team that was struggling to win games with Russell Wilson, and now Geno Smith is your quarterback, so that's going to be difficult. And I think the Seahawks mentality in this one, you know, whether they want it to be or not, is going to be like, well, we should win versus the Jags, whereas the Jags are coming into this as well, we can win against this team. And I think the team that is hungrier right now is Jacksonville. So Jacksonville on the road, the odds of Seattle losing a fourth to open the season at home is really difficult. But I'm not betting this, but I think if you need to bet this game, I think the value is in Jacksonville here.
I can understand that. I
don't see a Seattle defense that's going to be able to really stop Robinson. I think both of these coaches have long since lost their fucking marbles, so I don't think there's a coaching advantage in this, and that speaks more to my disrespect of Pete Carroll than it does. I've been outspoken about thinking Urban Meyer's not an NFL quarterback or coach. I don't like this game at all. It's a stay away game for me, but I do see a little bit of value in Jacksonville here.
I was impressed with the Seahawks defense against the Saints off a bye. The Saints could do nothing except for Kamara. I mean,
I think the loss of Blair might be bigger than people think. And that guy is really, if you watch those games, that guy's been all over the field for them. He's been a quiet contributor to this team. I think that hurts them a lot.
I think that Al Cervix says another field goal game. Top Set says Seattle team total under. I think this under is in play again. What's going to keep me off of it for now, and it will take more study, but at this point, there is 40% of tickets on the over and 77% of cash, so big bets have come in on the over. Ron Crawford says 2017 either way. That was my initial thought. I really think the under is in play. And I was impressed with the Seahawks defense against the Saints. Caveman Bet says Jags defense is a lot weaker than the Saints, but the Seahawks can't really take advantage of that with Geno in there. I think the under is in play, but I'm not going to go up against big bets coming in on the over, so I'm going to keep my eye on that. Lou says play calling for the Seahawks unacceptable. They don't even give them an opportunity to win a game. There's truth to that because
man, I've been saying for the last 2 years that Pete Carroll is a liability at this stage. He is like, the game is, I don't know if he's losing his marbles or if the game is passing him by or what, but Pete Carroll should not be coaching this team anymore.